Are you ready for the new upcoming legislation on EPC, Energy Performance Certificates in 2025? If you're a landlord, a property investor and you have a portfolio, what impact is this going to have on your portfolio? How big is this regulation? Or is it actually not that a huge deal? Is it as big as Section 24 when that got released in April 2017? In this video I'm going to break down what the EPC regulations are and more importantly the implications it means for you as a landlord and an investor. Been a long time without you. Jason Davies here at Lighthouse Investments Group, and in this video I want to cover the EPC regulations. Now they're set to commence the end of December 2025. What's EPC? Let's get straight to it. EPC is Energy Performance Certificate. In essence, it shows how energy efficient your property is. And they use a rating from A to G. I'm sure you're very aware of it. You've seen the ratings before. And ultimately, it just means how the ability for a property to heat up and to retain that heat, ultimately, in terms of energy efficiency. And this is a way for the government, another intervention from the government, to combat climate change and to make sure that, certainly from a residential standpoint, that we're doing all that we can. But what implications does this have? Because there's a lot of properties out there that don't meet the new required legislation standards. And the standard will be for EPC of C or above. If you're a landlord and you have a rental property, you want to sell or rent out a property. This could be huge, especially if you're a landlord who has quite a number of maybe old Victorian houses that are never going to meet some of those standards without a sufficient amount of funding or support. So, first of all, what does it mean? What's probably the impact going to be across the UK? Well, actually, looking at the statistics, you'll be surprised to know that actually nearly a third of all the houses out there, rental properties out there, are not going to reach a standard of C. In fact, the amount of properties that will need to go from E to a C, right? So not meeting the standard to a C, is actually 1.66 million properties. Just think about that. 1.66 million properties this is going to impact. So what's the current situation? Well, the current situation since October 2008 was under the Minimum Energy Efficiency Standards, MEES. And that requires a rental property to be at least a grade E or above. But of course, with the changes, that's going to move from an E to a C now with the new EPC. Now, EPC is a requirement for landlords to certificate properties with an EPC certificate and a rating ultimately. And that's important since October 2008. And EPC is really interesting because not only you can find out the square footage of a property or a square meterage of a property, but as I said, you can determine what the current energy efficiency is of that property. And you can do this online. If you type out www.gov.uk and then find my energy, I think it is, or find my energy certificate, I'll put it down in the link. That's a great website just to go on, an online portal where you can actually start searching for properties and see what the EPC rating is. It's also a fantastic resource, as I said, to get the official square meterage or square footage of the property. So what are the implications to a landlord? Well, as I said before, this is going to affect about 1.66 million properties in the UK with an average cost of about £4,000. They even predict about £4,700 per property. What can you do as a landlord and investor, depending on how many properties you've got? What does the government recommend? Well, government recommends actually a fabric first approach to begin with. Now, this sounds a lot simpler than what it actually is, because if you've got a big property portfolio, you're looking at lots of money to invest in those properties. But what are they suggesting? They're suggesting to make sure you insulate lofts, floors, walls, replace boilers that are not very energy efficient, maybe look at double or triple glazed windows. So really looking at the fabric of the building, the makeup of the building first, replacing lights to LED, looking at energy efficiency methodologies. But either way, if you do have a significant number of, let's just say, old Victorian houses which are not going to meet the standards, and you have a number of them, then you need to be looking at what the potential costs and implications could be for you, and maybe even an exit strategy as well, because remember, this is 2025. So you need to potentially start looking at this right now. The government has also proposed green home grants, in which ultimately they give you vouchers to help you make the ownership of your property more energy efficient by helping you out financially. But what's probably the first step as a landlord and as an investor? Well, ultimately, this is probably not new to you, and you're starting to get your way around the legislation, maybe looking at your portfolio. Probably the first step is to get an EPC surveyor. Get them in, have a look at the potential impact, the potential property portfolios that you have. If you only have one or two buy-to-lets, and really it probably won't affect you. It might be that you're C or above anyway. But if you've got a large number, then I would get the surveyor in, understand what the impact would be, and then you can start developing a strategy to understanding, okay, is this just in my portfolio, is it just an anomaly? There's one or two properties that are outliers that are causing the issues, or do I have a significant portion of my properties that just don't meet the demands of energy efficiency for the future, for now and for the future? And so once you've got that, you can start making informed decisions. You can start making informed decisions on exit strategies on some of the properties that just probably are not worth it, maybe, in terms of bringing them up to standards. Now, what could this mean in the longer term? Well, ultimately, it is going to really drive landlords and drive investors away from buying old, poor efficient buildings when it comes to energy. And ultimately, we could probably expect rents to rise because a good portion of landlords are probably going to transfer some of those costs to rents, because of the improvement costs that are required to bring them up to necessary standards, and therefore they'll expect the tenants to have a burden on that. There is the other side of the coin in that, well, actually you're going to have a more energy efficient building, so your energy bills will be lower, not to mention the fact that energy is going nuts at the moment, but your energy efficiency is going to be better, your energy bills are going to be lower, but therefore, as a result, you pay higher rent. Difficult to know, and really I'm not entirely sure the government has really considered all the implications and the amount of properties that are going to need improvement. And I'm really not confident that actually the number of landlords out there, whether you've got one buy-to-let or you've got thousands, hundreds I should say, then I'm not sure they're all really clear what the new regulations require. So we're going to see some changes, and I think it's going to be difficult for landlords and investors to even sell properties that have are poorly energy efficient. So it's going to really probably force over time people to just look at energy efficiency as a factor when it comes to not only buying property but maintaining their property as well. So really my question is what's your thoughts on the EPC regulations? If you're a landlord now and you're an investor and you have a significant number of properties, or maybe you've just got your first buy-to-let and you're thinking, should I grow? What do I need to consider? I want to know your thoughts. Maybe you are a surveyor yourself and you know a lot about the regulations. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Please comment below and share your thoughts. What do you think the government will do? What do you think will happen when it gets closer to the deadline, given the sheer amount of properties that are going to be impacted on this? And again, don't fear the regulations. If this is something that you're hearing for the first time, I doubt it. But if it is, then obviously research it, but don't worry about it. I think just tackle it logically. Look at your portfolio and see what the best and most logical steps to take should be. And of course, if you're thinking about starting a property portfolio, for our investors, we make sure we consider these upcoming factors, then comment LHG in the comments below, or reach out on the link. One of our team members will organise a consultation call with you so we can discuss building that property portfolio and providing that hands-free end-to-end service for you. That means sourcing the property all the way through to managing the legals and of course the right broker deals, refurbishments, etc, etc. So hope you found this video useful. Check out some of our other videos if you haven't seen any of the videos yet before, you're new to the channel. Make sure you subscribe by clicking the bell notification, because that way you won't miss out on any future videos. See you soon.